What's up everyone, my name's PlatinumHowler, coach of your Coquitlam Red Gyarados. Today I'm bringing you my week 10 match of the IBL versus Luxanse and the Groningen Gallades. You can see his team over on the right side of the screen. His two Z users are Thunderous Eye and Leopard, the latter of which has not come to a single game this season, so it's pretty much just Thunderous Eye. Lux is currently sitting at 4 and 5, occupying the last playoff spot. He has the best differential among 5 teams that are tied with a 4 and 5 record to get the last playoff spot. So that is one intense race for sure. We are going all out this week because if we can secure a win this week, heading into week 11, we will not have to take that match quite as seriously because we will have already clinched our playoff spot. So the hope is to get a win this week and then be able to relax a little bit next week, because I do have to play that game earlier than would be ideal anyways, because I am going on vacation soon. So without further ado, let's get into the team. I'm bringing quite a few different things from usual this week. We have Bronzong as our rocker, and this matchup is really the prime example of why Celesteela has kind of irked me in the past, because this is the week that I want my steel type to have stealth rocks on it. So that's why I'm bringing Bronzong and not bringing Celesteela. This is actually quite an offensive Bronzong, and the point of this set is to be able to weaken the Donphan that he usually leads with and will usually set rocks with and try to spin them away at the same time. The problem with Donphan naturally outspeeds all 3 of my rockers, so I would never be able to end an exchange where I keep rocks on his side of the field and he goes down and then he can't spin them away. And my spin blocker is weak to ground as well, so, but I mean, he would have to make a hell of a play trying to click Earthquake with my Bronzong, with my levitating Bronzong in against him. But anyways, the idea is to weaken him with Grass Knot. Grass Knot to max HP Donphan should bring him down to about 85%, I would say. And from that range, if it tries to click Rapid Spin and it runs into a Rocky Helmet, then it would go down, and based on Rocky Helmet mechanics, rocks would actually not be spun away, and they should be staying up for the entirety of the game, which would be really nice. So those are the 2 main moves on our set, and then we also have Heavy Slam for the Clefable, which is actually doing more damage to it than a Gyro Ball. And Shadow Ball is our last move to hit the Decidueye mainly, as well as that would be our best move to hit Cobalion. So Decidueye, not one of his main mons this season, but a Sword Sand set could be a massive threat to my team. So you'll see that I have some more preparations for it in the back. Said Rocky Helmet mon that is supposed to knock out the Donphan is this Tentacruel, relatively, well, it's like max physically defensive, but I want to try and see if I can outspeed his Suicune if I need to. Tentacruel's never breaking a Suicune sub, like, it's just so fat. There is no amount of investment that would be worth running to try to break a substitute with Sludge Bomb. I mean, I could try to run Giga Drain, but even then I might not be breaking a substitute from his end. And Sludge Bomb, I think, is just, it's better to have if I can outspeed him and get a poison on him to get that extra residual damage. That'd be nice. Also, I like having Sludge Bomb to weaken his Clefable. This is also a pretty nice switch into Cobalion. The one move that he can have to hit me hard would be Zen Headbutt, but at +2, Zen Headbutt does not OHKO me, and then that way I at least force him to take extra Rocky Helmet chip. If he gets a flinch on me, then that's unfortunate, but I can at least get Scald off against him. And then I also have Haze, This also is another tech for the Decidui mainly, as well as boosting Clefable, boosting Suicune, boosting Thundurus as well. Double Dance Thundurus. If he brings in Thundurus and tries to double dance against me, then I am not going to let that happen. I'm going to make sure that he only gets one, either a Nasty Plot or Agility off, because I can beat the Thundurus as long as it doesn't get both boosts. So next we are going to have our cleaner and primary win condition for this team. This is Zeraora. So I only need enough speed to outspeed his Alakazam on this. So I could have ran Adamant Zeraora if I wanted to. But I found that Adamant didn't necessarily give me the extra damage output I didn't really need, and I would rather trade that for some more special bulk, because most of the things that I would be taking hits from on his side are special attackers. Plasma Fists hits the majority of his team extremely hard, and then my other coverage moves, Iron Tail is exclusively for the Clefable. It should be doing about just over 50% to a max defense Clefable, so if I can chip it down with the other members of my team, then I can put it in range for Zeraora to knock it out. Low Kick is pretty much exclusively for the Cobalion. Of course, I could be running Close Combat, but when Low Kick does the exact same amount of damage without lowering my defenses, that is the much better option for me to click. And then we also have Fake Out, which is mainly for the Alakazam, so I can break its Focus Sash, and then Plasma Fist should be doing more than enough to knock it out from there. Next up, we have our Assault Vest Chandelure. This is one reason why it'd be great if I can keep rocks away with my Rapid Spinning Tentacruel, because this is my primary switch in to his Mega Charizard Y, which hits incredibly hard with his Fire-type moves. So it's nice to have a Flash Fire Mon on my roster now to deal with a Charizard Y. Assault Vest. So I had to throw a little bit of extra special defense investment, because if he runs Ancient Power on his Charizard Y and gets the 10% boost, I could be in a lot of trouble. So if he gets as long as I don't come in on rocks, Ancient Power into +1 Ancient Power should not knock me out, and I should at least be able to get some good damage off against him with the Hidden Power Rock. Of course, then I will still be in a world of hurt, but at least I have a Aqua Jetting Crawdon in the back that can hopefully pick it off after I've weakened it to that point. I believe if I do have to come in on rocks, then I have it would be like a couple of rolls in my favor to survive 2 Ancient Powers from the Charizard Y. Outside of the Zard Y, this Chandelure's typing it matches up extremely well against this team, especially if he tries to bring Suicune in against this. I'll be able to take its hits extra well with Assault Vest, and if he's setting Sun with his Zard Y, he's going to further weaken his Suicune Scald against me, so I can just stay in and click Energy Ball against that to weaken it. Add Haze on our Tentacruel, and we also have Clear Smog on our Chandelure as a backup to any setup he might want to try to have. So I can potentially 1v1 this, if not weaken it and keep it at a low amount of HP. I'm talking about the Clefable, of course. Clear Smog actually hits it super effectively, so it's not doing that much less damage than Flamethrower would be. I found that I didn't actually need Shadow Ball on this set. The only thing that I would want Shadow Ball for is his Alakazam, and as long as his Sash is intact, that's not going to be helping me all that much anyway, because Flamethrower is 2-hit KOing him. Really hope I don't regret not having Shadow Ball over something like Clear Smog on this set, but Clear Smog was just something that I wanted to give a shot. So I mentioned Swords Dance Decidui. Huge threat to my team, especially because I'm not carrying like knockoff on my Zeraora. So this is why we have a Focus Sash Crawdon, because he can set up against a number of things on my team. Well, not really a number of things, but if he manages to get a Swords Dance up, Swords Dance, Leaf Blade, Spirit Shackle, Shadow Sneak just completely destroys my team. I can't do any. He would just sweep me with it. So I would like to be able to keep the sash intact if I see Decidueye, to be able to live any one hit from it and click knockoff. Hope to God that he's not Cobra Berry, because then knockoff won't be doing nearly as much as I would like to it. We are Jolly max speed because I didn't feel like I needed the extra damage output from Adamant. Hopefully, that's another thing that I could regret and hopefully won't regret. This is also a backup switch into the Donphan. I can switch it in to Rocks and take one Adamant max attack Earthquake, and then threaten it out with a powerful adaptability liquidation. Hopefully he stays in so that I can weaken it, because that is one thing that Zeraora cannot do a ton of damage to. I'd like to be able to get that Donphan out of the way early on in the game, because I have 3 weaknesses to ground on this team. I don't necessarily appreciate switching into Earthquakes. And last, we have our Mega Gallade here. Not very much speed investment at all. The investment, the little bit of speed that I have should allow me to outspeed max speed Decidueye. As I've said, Decidueye a big threat. I want to make sure that I can outspeed that at all costs so that he can't click Spirit Shackle and I don't get any damage off against him. At least if he clicks Shadow Sneak, with my HP investment, I should be able to, I would think, non-boosted, I can take 2 Shadow Sneaks for him, unless he's like Life Orb or something like that. But we are Adamant with a ton of attack investment as well. Poison Jab to weaken his Clefable. Ice Punch hits both the Decidueye and Thundurus as well, so that this is not set up fodder for Thundurus. And then with my HP investment, I don't need to outspeed Cobalion to check it. I can live an Iron Head from him. Close combat, I resist, and I can hit him back with my own close combat, even if he is boosted. Inner Focus is actually a nice ability to have here, because he will not be getting any flinches on me with Iron Head. And then my last move is Encore, because I can use this as a backup switch into his Suicune as well, if he is repeatedly trying to sub up against my Tentacruel. If I bring my Gallade in on a turn, then he clicks Substitute, I can Encore him into Substitute, and then all he's going to be doing is chipping himself down by constantly using his own HP to bring him down. And hopefully Poison Jab can break the substitutes for him. I would like to not click Close Combat to break a substitute, because then I'm using 2 PP out of my 8 that I'm allowed. So I don't want to be blowing through my Close Combats that quickly. So it'd be nice if I can, it'd be nice if Poison Jab does enough to break the substitute, but depending on what his investment is, we'll just have to see. If it doesn't break the substitute, then that's not the end of the world, because of course, ideally he'd be locked into clicking Substitute. No way that he can click Scald on me and get a burn. That is going to be my team against Lux this week. We facing the Groningen Gallades with our Mega Gallade. So hopefully our mascot can, or Gallade, his mascot can put in the work against him. So yeah, let's go for the win this week. Lock up a playoff spot, and then relax next week. Not necessarily meme next week, but just feel good that we have done well enough to at least make playoffs in this very competitive season of the IBL. So we'll see you back with the battle shortly. Here we are back with the battle, and the first thing that I see looking at Lux's team is that there is no Donphan, which means my elaborate plan to knock it out while keeping Rocks on his side of the field won't be put into action in this game, but that's okay, because I'm glad that I won't have to worry about it, and that kind of means that I don't think he has Rocks on this team at all. He does have the Clefable and Cobalion to potentially carry Rocks on either one, but I don't think that he will, because they just don't match up well against Tentacruel, and Tentacruel can easily spin them away. We see the Silvally here as well, and I don't have a clue what type that thing is going to be. Interesting to not see the Alakazam as well. That's one less offensive threat that we have to worry about, which is always nice. No Quagsire or Liepard, which was pretty obvious. And then I'm also kind of relieved to not see the Decidueye, which I mentioned ad nauseam in my team builder. even though he hasn't brought it very often this season, could have been a huge threat to my team. And because it's not here, I can use the Focus Sash on my Crawdont much more liberally in this game. In terms of lead matchups, I have a strong feeling that he's going to lead with the Charizard now, since he doesn't have the typical Donphan lead. So I decided to lead with my Assault Vest Chandelure. Obviously, I am Flash Fire to take nothing from the Charizard's very powerful Fire-type moves. And I can just fire off an attack right away, and he doesn't look like to have much on his team that he wants to switch in. So I make a very questionable play turn 1. Switching out my Chandelure, expecting the Charizard to want to switch out himself. And I'm thinking, well, his switch into Chandelure might be a Dark-type Silvally that's trying to Pursuit Trap my Chandelure. And that is a very... I don't know why I was making this aggressive of a play on turn 1 of the game. The reason I was thinking that the Silvally might be along the lines of something like that is because somebody has brought that against me while using a Chandelure in the past. But he just decided to stay in and click Earthquake, which wouldn't have killed my Chandelure, and I could have just stayed in and clicked Hidden Power Rock for a massive chunk of damage off against the Zard Y. But I did switch in my Gallade here, and the way I switched it in, I was pretty confident that he would want to switch his Zard out, fearing a Rock Slide or something. So I clicked Close Combat when I could have clicked Poison Jab with the Clefable coming in. So first couple turns, not extremely well played by me, but I didn't end up losing too much from it, so I'm not complaining that much. I'm still in a decent enough position here to put in some work, so as I predict him to go for Moonblast against my Gallade, I get my Chandelure back in, and he has set the sun with his Charizard Y for my Chandelure, so I basically get a free Flamethrower against the Clefable. I was very interested to see if he would be Moonlight set, because he would recover a ton of HP with the sun still active. But here, because the sun was up for one last turn, his Suicune Scald is not going to be doing really anything to me. So I'm able to survive 2 of them and basically 1v1 this Suicune here with the Chandelure. Goes down to a Flamethrower, Sun Boosted, and then a couple of Energy Balls. I think he did show the Protect there. I think he should have used that to stall out the last turn of Sun. Because then he might have been able to hit KO me with the Scald, in which case I probably would have tried switching out into my Tentacruel. And here he just makes the most unfathomable play to me. Because I switched out Chandelure the first time against his Charizard, he thought I was going to do it again, and he went for a very aggressive Fire Blast play, I guess expecting Gallade to come back in. I mean, that's really the only switch that you're anticipating if you're clicking Fire Blast in that situation. So I get the clean Oko on his Zard Y because he is a mixed attacker with a naive nature, so he is minus special defense, so that's why Hidden Power Rock was able to get the Oko against him. So yeah, Chandelure putting in really good work early in this game, picking up 2 kills before it gets revenged by the league kill leader in Thunderous Eye. So now we find out that this Silvally is Grass type, designed to switch into a number of things, such as my Zeraora, and it can also deal well with my Crawdont as well. But thankfully, Tentacruel coming through with its underrated Clear Body ability once again, blocking him from getting momentum out with Parting Shot, and because he is Grass type, I can click Sludge Bomb pretty easily, knowing that I would do a big chunk of damage to him if he wanted to stay in. But he actually switches out into his Clefable, which I was confused by. I was not going to try predicting the Cobalion to come in and click Scald because Sun was active, and I wouldn't have been doing anything to the Silvally if he wanted to stay in. So he lets me basically take his Clefable out for free as well, as he tries pivoting in his Cobalion, but I at that point, Clefable was in range to go down for Scald, so I had no reason not to click Scald. So now I am going to decide to save my Tentacruel and bring the Bronzong in, because Bronzong is the least valuable member of my team right now. It doesn't really help me whatsoever. I'm just going to bring it in basically as death fodder, and I know that if he wants to set up with either Agility or Nasty Plot, or both, that I can still beat him with my Sashed Crawdont. He has not set any hazards on my side of the field, so I know that I can beat his Thundurus no matter how much setup he tries to go for. So I find out that he has a Z move with Bloom Doom. I guess he was trying to make an aggressive prediction that I would want to try to bring in Zeraora on that turn, but I was not going to do that with this useless Bronzong in the back. So I can just bring this in and get a little bit of damage off against the Thundurus with a Shadow Ball. He gets a meaningless Para, I get a meaningless Spadef drop. I decided to go for the damage there on the Thundurus rather than set up Stealth Rocks, because I just felt like I didn't really need the Stealth Rocks to win this game. I felt that that little bit of chit damage was more important. So, more important, I guess, to put him in range of my Crawdont, because that's what I decide to drop in here, as Silvally comes in to eat that Liquidation, and I know that I'm sashed. He doesn't know that I'm sashed, so he's thinking that I'm going to pull the switch into Tentacruel once again to block his parting shot. So he makes an aggressive double into the Thundurus as I click Endeavor, and unfortunately that it fails because I still have a higher amount of HP than the Thundurus does. So now he reveals to have U-turn to break my sash. I guess he's kind of, since I revealed Endeavor, he kind of figured out what kind of Crawdont set I was. So he's going to be able to break the sash and go back into the Silvally as I click Liquidation again. I do not want to click Knockoff because I'm not willing to give Cobalion a Justified boost just yet. Shows to be a pretty bulky Cobalion, so I don't think that Zeraora would be able to knock it out immediately. And I know that my Gallade has taken a little bit of damage as well and is not EV to outspeed his Cobalion. So I was not willing to risk giving him a +1 attack boost right there, because then I would just lose too many pieces to beat him. I let Crawdont go down to the Silvally so I can bring in Gallade, and with Gallade in against Silvally means that I get a kill no matter what, basically, because I was able to click Ice Punch there to cover the Thundurus switch in. If he wanted to bring in the Cobalion, that's fine. I could have clicked Close Combat on the next turn. So yeah, I'm just attacking what's in front of me at this point because I have the bulk to survive all of his attacks, and I have no reason to overpredict because since Silvally went down, I know that Zeraora is going to be able to clean up this game no matter what. He gets me to click Closed Combat eventually, which is going to lower my defense and put me in range for his Thundurus to knock me out with an attack, but I decided to actually save my Mega Gallade. It didn't really matter what I did. I would have to let either my Gallade or my Tentacruel die in this situation so I can get Zeraora in for free. Hidden Power appeared to be Hidden Power Flying, so he does get a stab boost from that, and that's his most powerful move that he has to hit my Mega Gallade. So that definitely would have knocked me out, especially at -1 special defense. But I just pivoted into Tentacruel, let it go down, and now Zeraora can come in, click Plasma Fist, just attack what's in front of it to win the game at this point. Plasma Fist does a decent chunk to the Cobalion, but I do have a low kick. He is not Choppleberry, so I am going to be able to knock him out. And then the Thundurus at about 15 or 10%, something like that, left in. Going to be outsped by this Plasma Fist, and Zeraora is going to pick up 2 kills to clean up the game. And you know what that means! With this win, the Red Gyarados have clinched a spot in the IBL playoffs. Feels really good to continue our streak of making playoffs in draft leagues that we compete in. We have never failed to miss playoffs in a draft league, but we have also never won a championship, so hopefully this will be the first time. Possibly either 3 or 2 more wins will be, well, I'd say 3. 3 more wins are necessary to win our first ever draft league title, and hopefully we can get that done. GG to Luxanse. Make sure you go check out his channel. His links will be down in the description as always. Looking back on this game, it was actually kind of a strange one to pick apart, you know, because I had the lead matchup, and I decided to make a play that I cannot even begin to justify. I don't know what the heck I was thinking, trying to somehow know exactly what kind of Silvally set that he was going to be when it could have been literally anything. All I had to do was attack what was in front of me, and I was pretty much guaranteed to come out of that situation in a good position early on in the game. Instead, I decided to play way too over-aggressive and risked my Mega Gallade, and thankfully it worked out. Thankfully he just didn't leave his Charizard Y in to click Fire Blast and knock out my Gallade. There was no way for him to know that I wasn't running much speed investment on my Gallade, so I think he made the safe play going out into the Clefable on that turn. I mean, by the way, I brought my Gallade in. I wouldn't risk my Gallade that carelessly, would I? Right, he wouldn't think I would be that crazy, but it turns out that I was for some reason. This game also could have been a lot different had he just clicked Earthquake to knock out my Chandelure after it had been weakened. Instead, he throws his Charizard to the Wolves, and from that point on, the game was pretty straightforward for me. I really didn't have to make any tough decisions. I just click buttons and follow the plan to win the game. I think really the only decision I had to make was letting Bronzong go down because it wasn't doing anything for me. Other than that, it was like, I have the tools to win this game. There's nothing much you can do about it. If he had just knocked out my Chandelure, I would have had to bring in Zeraora at that point to threaten him out with the Plasma Fists. Silvally would have became much more of a threat because Silvally definitely would have been the switch in there. It would have been pretty difficult for me to get Bronzong in and set Rocks up. Rocks would have been a much bigger priority in this game had Charizard Y not gone down so quickly. We saw U-turn on Thundurus, we saw Parting Shot on Silvally, we saw Volt Switch on Cobalion. All of those forms of momentum would have been very hard for me to get Bronzong in against either one of them without clicking any of those moves so that he could bring Charizard in for free and just knock out my Bronzong before I even had an opportunity to set Stealth Rocks. So yeah, a weird but easy game for me at the same time. So at this point, heading into the final week of the season, I could finish anywhere between 5th place or even 1st place, depending on the results of some other games. I would have to win to have... if I win next week, then I'll finish anywhere between 3rd and 1st. If I lose, I will finish anywhere... I will finish either 4th or 5th. Most likely... I won't say that. I'll be either 4th or 5th if I lose, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd if I win. So I would very much like to try to get the win, because if I can win and one of the current top 2 seeds being OG Albina or Kohanks, if one of those 2 players lose their Week 11 game and I can win my Week 11 game, I will get a bye to the semifinals of the IBL playoffs, and that would be fantastic. So I am going to give next week against Storm my best shot, and we are going to cross our fingers that we can pull off another win and get a little bit of help to receive that playoff bye that we so desperately want. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel for more IBL videos. And we will see you next week for our Week 11 match against Storm.